Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. What better way to start things after a Discovery Day to have in the studio an opportunity to share with our friends from the Garden Club. So we invite you to be a part of our discussion. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us, and it's a pleasure to be able to welcome to our studio the current president of the Cayman Islands Garden Club, or the Garden Club of the Cayman Islands, Miss Bernard Cummings, together with our vice president, Miss Deanna Lucloy, and the immediate past president, Miss Ora Holloway. Ladies, thank you very much for joining us. And I keep saying that we talk so often, but we don't really always appreciate the incredible contributions that the women in our society have made and are continuing to make, whether it's in the Legislative Assembly, in our backyards, whether it's in our boardrooms, or sometimes, in our classrooms. So as I look at the three of you...
Thank you very much.
Good
I
afternoon.
really appreciate it, and thanks to Radio Cayman.
Well, it is a pleasure. It is an honour to sit here, and whether we're looking at, gardening to put food on the table, as we till the soil, or whether we're looking at to just beautify the table setting. There's something beautiful about having a garden. So perhaps, Ms. Ora, with you as the immediate past president, welcome, good afternoon.
Thank you, Sterling. I'm happy to be here, and again, thanks to Radio Cayman.
Yeah, and I must share that, as I look at the two educators here, I'm thinking, well, did I behave? Did I sharpen my pencil? Is a detention outstanding I haven't served? Mr. Cloy? Maybe not.
You were a good student.
I was?
Yes, you were. And your sisters.
Well, see, it was because of them where I was a good student. No, but it is funny. I think as I was thinking, as I walked down and looking at some of the notes Ms. Ora shared, the examples that we set in our homes and our classrooms, the way our communities respond to others, it transfers, from the student, to the instructor, from that person who is looking at something just as a vocation as well as a hobby. Ms. Myrna, as you said, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
All right.
Haven't been on the radio for a long time, thank God.
We should change that. As of today.
That's fine. I feel like the Garden Club is like my baby. My mother was not a founding member, but she joined shortly after. And the club was founded in 1957 with probably about 10 or 12 members by Mrs. Donalds, who was the commissioner's wife at that time. And we always hosted, my mother would host the Garden Club in our yard because we had a big yard that we could hold a lot of people. And over the years, it just grew into a wonderful club. And because of this being there, I learned the names of the plants. Now, my father also grew things, but he grew things to eat more than pretty flowers and plants. So the two of them together, they taught me, I know all the names, the common names, but I don't know a lot of the botanical names. But I can identify a lot of plants. And it was because of the Garden Club I feel that I've been able to do this. Not only do I know about the plants, but I know a lot of the medicinal purposes of the plants which we were taught. And I've shared this with the club. I keep saying I'm going to write it down to share it with other people, but time, that gets away from us. But having grown up with the garden club, and I've been a member, I'd say from time I came back after university in the early 70s. And I've stopped going, and then I go back, and now here I am, president again. But anyway, we currently have over 90 members. Unfortunately, not all of them are active, but most of them do come out to our meetings. And we try to do a lot of things in the community. A lot of people might not know what the Garden Club does, but they probably recognize our show. And this year we're going to have an exhibition, and Ora will explain the reason why we had to change it from show to exhibition. But I want to say that at our show, we are having a plant sale, and the public is most welcome to come and purchase a lot of plants. They've been donated by the membership, and they're not expensive because they're grown locally. So you can come and buy lots of plants at the show. And I just have to put a little plug in there, because this year our family sponsored it. A.L. Thompson's, we sponsored it in memory of our father, who would have been 100 this year. So when they were looking for sponsorship, we agreed to sponsor it. So it's going to be a great show, and I think Ora will do a much better job because she's chairperson of the show. And even though we've worked with her, then I'll let her tell all about the show.
Well, I hope I can. Well, first of all, to the public out there, I want to thank you for your support throughout the years. I'm no longer president, but as you can see, we have a very committed Garden Club member who has stepped up and is now president for the next 4 years, hopefully. The show that's coming up on May 24th, which is this Friday and Saturday, the 25th, the theme is the beauty of Cayman, and it is depicted through our horticultural and floral exhibition. It's taking place at the Jasmine Villa behind Coconut Joe's, or I would say opposite the Marriott on West Bay Road. On the 24th at 4 p.m. will be the opening by Mrs. Roper, followed by a reception, and it'll continue until 7 p.m. on the 24th. That's Friday. But Saturday it continues throughout the day from 9 to 5 p.m. And we really would love the public to come, visit the exhibition. It is free to the public. Refreshments will be there, and you can meander around the beauty of Cayman. That beauty of Cayman will be depicted through horticulture, obviously horticulture, because the Garden Club is all about horticulture, as Miss Berna just explained. There'll be, I think, hundreds of specimens of local horticulture in plants, in plant materials, in cut specimens, and the public is invited to submit a plant or a cut specimen by 10 o'clock on Friday morning. After 10, we will not be accepting any. But please call 925-5531 if you wish to put something in Saturday morning. This whole event, Sterling, is slightly different. Friday morning is the opening is 4 p.m. Friday, but you're allowed to submit specimens till 10 o'clock Friday morning. This whole event, The Beauty of Cayman, is a sort of a different kind of hybrid from our regular biannual flower show. And one of the reasons why we really want the public to participate is because we have changed the makeup of the architecture of the flower show to the desires of the public in Cayman and many of our members. Our flower shows in the past had rigid rules. They were foreign rules, and we had foreign judges. We're going to have local judges who know local plants, and the rules are relaxed. And let me give the public a little bit of an example of what some of the exhibits will look like. Remember, the theme is the beauty of Cayman, so obviously horticulture, for sure, hundreds of specimens. But we also have designs by adults, and one will be amazed at the creative designs that are going to be at the show. Children's designs, now their sub-theme is recycling. And all of their designs, I think just about all of their designs, will incorporate recycled material. I've seen some photographs, and it's just amazing. So we have 8 schools participating. And, of course, you can't depict all of the beauty of Cayman in designs on horticulture, right? So we have a new division, photography. And the photography, we've gotten over 80 participants, at least they've signed up, to bring in photography from all over the island. So truly the show should be the beauty of Cayman. And I'm just inviting the public to participate and help us celebrate this event.
Well, when we come back from our break, let's talk more about it. I mean, it is, as you shared, a free event open to the public, especially on Saturday. I say all day, from 9 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. That's almost a full work day, Ms. Warner. Almost. Not for you. And when we come back, if you want to call and share your thoughts, please do so. But I wanted to be able to speak, learn more, and encourage the public to be a part of the beauty of Cayman, as it were. So please, stay tuned for Talk Today.
At Powerhouse Gym, where you feel like home in a multicultural energy environment for all. They are dedicated to helping you achieve your fitness goals. Whether you have decided to get in shape, train for a specific sport, boost your energy levels, or even look your best for a special day. With a variety of sports options, group fitness classes, CrossFit outdoor gym, they provide personal trainers and equipment. Powerhouse Gym, King Sports Center, offers a complete health and recreational environment for the only sports and recreational facility of its kind in the Cayman Islands. For more information, call 946-5464. Email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. Powerhouse Gym, King Sports Center. Serious results, period.
It's time for Tool Fest 2019, May 24th and 25th at A.L. Thompson's. Pick up their flyer loaded with the best savings of the season. There are 8 pages filled with deals, and they're just the tip of the Tool Fest iceberg. Save 15% in the entire tool department. Enjoy in-store demos and gifts. Meet with the experts from Milwaukee, Stanley, Makita, and others. The savings don't stop there. Trex Stacks, Shop Vacs, and Valspar Paint are all 15% off. Tool Fest on May 24th and 25th, only at A.L. Thompson's.
Support our tourism.
Did you know the Port Authority will continue to operate the cargo port and berthing facility when the piers are built? Cruise Line Finance secures berthing rights, not ownership, and will be repaid over time with fees paid by passengers.
Looking forward, looking bright.
Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Headlines. With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. 949-8037, 949-6990. Hope Susan is enjoying her time away from the desk as Fox slips into the hen house. Mr. Silver Fox, enjoy yourself, sir.
That's cool.
Just cool. All right, we'll try to behave on this end of the mic, see what he does on that side. But I know, like him, most of you are saying, wow, I'm in the studio with not just three young, intelligent, but incredible ladies in the company of Miss Deanna Lookloy, Miss Bernard Cummings, and Miss Aura Holliman as we talk about the beautiful Cayman, the horticultural and floral exhibition of the Garden Club coming up this weekend. You know, it is fascinating, Miss Bernard. As I sort of during the break was just taking a mental tour almost through Grand Cayman, seeing some of the gardens of people. Sometimes just a little pocket on the side, sometimes in the back. Some people it's the whole yard. And people take great pride, whether it's an ornamental garden, some specifically looking at certain things, and others, they just have a little thing. But there's a house, I won't embarrass the people who have, as you shared with me earlier, the medicinal plants, who have tried to rekindle that interest, probably not only for the actual benefits of their ancestors they used, but equally to remind us now of this era that, you know, this is important. So at some point, maybe I'll ask you about that. If not this show, maybe another show, but we can take our steps. But tell us more about this wonderful exhibition this weekend.
Well, let me pick up there by saying that we would really like to thank Jasmine, who is hospice. They just got a new facility that you know that the Prince opened when they were here. And they were gracious enough for us to use it. They have a huge multi-purpose hall there, but they also have a beautiful garden as well that we can utilize in displaying our potted plants and so forth to host our plant sale. So we're grateful to them. It's not easy to find a hall in Cayman to stage something this big. I hope we're going to have enough space now because we're really getting a lot of exhibits. But in bringing in the exhibits, I just would like to remind the public of some of the requirements. First of all, if you have horticulture or a cutting, it has to be clean. No bugs, no lice, no nothing. So the leaves must be washed clean. They need to be trimmed, no brown tips at the end, no holes in the leaves, and it must be presented nicely in a pot. No chips, no cracks. And if you have marbles or if you have pine bark chips or something, just put it over the dirt to present it and make it look nicer for exhibiting. So these are some of the things that will help if someone is going to bring in an exhibit that they want to display. If you do not know the name of the plant, we have individuals there, Deanna, myself, Jennifer Godfrey, and others will be assisting with the name. Not only the local name, but you also have to put in the botanical name first, the local name, and take for instance, the Lang Lang. I did that, and then below it I put that perfume is made from it. Just a little tip to share with people that know the Lang Lang tree and know that perfume, the Chanel perfume, comes from that. I didn't put Chanel in there because I don't want them to sue me, but I did say the perfume is made from it.
They should charge. Actually, you should charge them for advertising. You said.
Well, you know, people are funny. But
some
anyhow,
people actually call it the perfume tree.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm inspired by what you share, and as you were, speaking of the whole issue of the exhibitions, the fact that you talked about this year allowing non-members to bring in helps to spread it. But the idea of the botanical names, I hope he does on Micah's. Every day I'm more impressed by Mr. Joel Walton. Not just an avid gardener, but his, familiarity and ease with which, not unlike you, Mr. Lloyd. He understands the botanical names quite easily and can recall them, repeat them, and help you to understand them. So very important for us as a people to appreciate the local, names that we have, but to also understand that there's another name by which it's classified.
Yeah, most of us avid gardeners would have a book called Tropica. It's huge. And you'll see our local names, but you'll see the scientific names as well, the Latin names.
Yeah.
So we have our research material. And we also have Mrs. Barwick's book. She used to reside here many years ago. And I know from her book that she has done a lot of research all over the Caribbean, because some of the plants are even called different things in other islands.
Right.
Yeah. Is that, and I won't necessarily ask for an answer now, but I was wondering, there's a plant I'm trying to recall. As part of the show that Ray and I do on a monthly basis, we look at foods and we look at names, we look at things, and there are certain things we started to discover that on Grand Cayman versus on the Brac, for instance, the same thing has a different name, or it's said a different way. It could be a place, it could be something. And I was wondering about plants, if it's known by one thing in one part of, Grand Cayman, for instance, and maybe a different variation or seen in another part. I'm curious as to an extent.
Yeah, I've come across people from the other districts calling some plants different names from what we call them in Georgetown.
Yeah.
Not many, a few.
A few, yeah. Yes. I found that as well. In a small place like this, you imagine the variation amongst, what we are, a speck on a map, as it were. So can you imagine if across the wider Caribbean or even the globe? But important to know what they are, right, Miss Myrna?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. One thing which really doesn't relate too much here about what you mentioned, but take, for instance, the banana orchid. Mm-hmm. The orchid in Cayman Brac is different from the orchid in Grand Cayman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think as you shared that, I was just remarking to myself as I was looking at it, the idea that you're making this event free to the public. It's a great family event. But it's a good way for us to start to appreciate not only what we have here, but how sometimes the differences. The orchid, for instance, we know it with the iguana, we know it with different things. How much of this stuff are we celebrating? How much of it are we actually sort of passing to the next generation?
That's a very interesting thing, because the shift really is to the natural plants now. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage the public that they go in their backyard and they see a plant. They don't even know what it is. They just know that the leaves are gorgeous. It has this, whatever. Don't cut it down.
It's not a bush.
It's not a bush. It's not a bush, and you should chop it down with a machete. Yeah, you should embrace it. Right. Find out from Rob Bennett or Berna Cummings or somebody like that, what it is, put a name to it, and save it, and maybe even decorate around it.
Well, we do have a caller on the line as we go to our phones. Mr. Cloy, Miss Berna, Miss Ora. Let's welcome our caller. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Since you have all of those experts there with plants, I'd like to find out if some of them can tell me the name of the tree that you cut on Good Friday and it bleeds, and then like a day or so after that you cut it and it's white, the milk is white. Can they tell me the name of that plant, please?
Okay. What I recall hearing all my years growing up is that it's the birch tree. You chop it on Good Friday and it bleeds. I don't know how true that is. I remember we used to do it as children, but we really didn't see any blood. But I think the sap that comes from the tree itself is pinkish, kind of orange or pink.
Mm-hmm. And it's thick.
What we call birch, because other countries have different birch.
Yeah, but it's not like our original birch tree, I don't think.
No, it's a different birch. And there is one in the Barkers area of West Bay, which, as you know, it might very well be cut down soon, but let's hope not. I know that this very Easter just gone by, a friend of mine came to visit me and said that she had gone and visited the tree, but to be honest with you, I don't know the name of it.
Well, I have a tree in my yard, and I have a few cuts from it, but I was just curious to know the name.
So does it bleed at Easter then? The color is...
It is red. The color is red.
And it isn't red during other times?
No, it's sure not.
So then, if you could leave your number with the studio, and I'll be happy to get in touch with you and put you in touch with the lady that knows that.
One last thing, could I please ask you if you have a cutting or a plant, could you kindly give it to the Botanic Park so they could nurture it and put it in a special spot in the park so that it could be saved and that, you know, the whole island could enjoy it.
Okay.
That would be nice of you. Thanks.
I will do that. Okay.
Please come to our show.
Okay, I will try to make it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. And the caller really strikes one point in the sense that this is part of why I think coming out on Saturday specifically, looking at local plants, speaking, if you don't mind me terming you as our local experts, being able to not only develop the interest, but equally become familiar with it, become aware, maybe be willing to have to preserve, you know. Growing up, sometimes you're in the backyard, you not knowing, you look at it, you think it's a bush or weed, and you pull it up, not knowing. Well, are we doing the same thing on a larger scale when we're developing properties? Once gone, maybe gone forever.
That's what I'm afraid of now for that tree that's in Barkers. I'm wondering if it's going to be disappear.
I hope not.
Yeah, but we do have to be conscious of our environment. You know, and those trees and those wild, what you call bush or wild trees, is such an important part of the beauty of Cayman, getting back to our theme.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you think in terms of just the varieties of green alone as you drive through the island and you're looking from your right to the left, there are these gorgeous colors that are coming at you. And all of this needs to be, you need to be conscious of it and think about preserving for the future.
Yeah. The shamrock comes to mind immediately. Every time it blooms,
it's so
the
beautiful.
2 sides of the road going up to East End, it's pure yellow.
Yes.
Of course, shamrock for us is different from shamrock in, say, Ireland. So
in Ireland, yes.
Yes, totally different.
Yes, it's different.
But we Caymanians know what we mean when we say shamrock.
Right, the pretty yellow flowers.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we have Caymanian judges this year at the event at Jasmine, because we know what we're looking at. And I just wanted to mention the designs again. The designs are being chaired by Joyce Dunbar. Quite a lot of people know Joyce, and she's extremely talented. She chose a sub-theme, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So when you visit the exhibit on the 24th at 4 o'clock, our opening, or on Saturday, you will look at some of her designs and some of her themes designs, because she has a whole theme working with her, and a whole team working with her, and that they will depict, those designs will depict yesterday, today, and tomorrow, just like the kids are putting in designs with recycling material, and their sub-theme is recycling. And the photography side of it, their theme is reflections of Cayman. Wow. So truly, between all these exhibits and then the horticulture and the photographs, it's going to be a great event for people to just meander through.
All right.
Grab one of Deanna Lucloy's special fruit drinks and just have a lot of fun.
Well, when we come back, I could probably ask about that as well, the idea you mentioned earlier that there's a plant sale. Now we're going to take our final break. When we come back, maybe we could talk about the plant sale, what sorts of plants on special and the like. All right. When we come back, more from the Garden Club. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go, Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 3 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah, Countryside, Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive through rain or shine. Free pickup and delivery. Call Puritan Cleaners at 949-7104. You feel good when you look good.
Are you seeking information on the proper process to start constructing your home or development? Do you know how to apply for a building permit and inspection? Are you up to date with current building codes? May is Building Safety Month, and the Department of Planning has a number of events to help you stay up to date with the building and planning process. To learn more about Building Safety Month and the training, information sessions, and demos offered for free to the public, visit planning.ky.
I support building the piers because the cruise industry puts millions of dollars into our economy each year. Without that revenue, young people like me risk facing an uncertain future. Learn more and spread the word.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And as we have a chance to talk about the beauty of Cayman, the Garden Club of Cayman's presentation for the upcoming horticulture and floral exhibition this coming Saturday at Jasmine Formula Hospice from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the studio. President Ms. Berna Cummings, immediate past president, Ms. Ora Holliman, together with VP Ms. Deanna Lecloy. I almost feel like I should be taking notes because there's going to be a test pretty soon. I just feel like that. But no test today. Two teachers. I don't know.
You're off the hook today.
Wow, it's close. It's close. But it is fun because in a sense that when we think of just even within our own plots of land, hopefully we can still buy a piece of land with some stuff on it that isn't, totally sterile. And when we're out there, we find it. But maybe we'll develop that interest even further, whether it's a container garden, whether it's some of the medicinal like plants, even the teas. I love some of the things that we made tea from. Maybe that'd be an exhibition one year, Ms. Berna.
Well, we could, because we have a lot of medicinal plants and things that were used. I mean, take, for instance, just the grape leaves. Mm-hmm. That was our aluminum foil. When we baked the cakes, we covered the cakes with the grape leaves because we didn't have foil.
And how, I say resilient, but almost flame-proof in a sense. Mm-hmm. You take it and it became a bowl you could eat from.
We
right?
used to put little
grapes in there. That's right. At the school, we used to turn it over and put a hole and put the stem through.
Yes.
The cup for the grapes.
Because we had no plastic. No paper cups, no plastic.
No plastic, no paper cups, and we improvised.
Well, I remember getting coconut candy, coconut drops that was hot, and it wouldn't go through the grape leaf. No. And to me, it tasted better. I mean, even though...
it certainly has a level of resistance to heat. Yeah. That's why Berna was mentioning that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I hope that fully the public will come out and not only enjoy the exhibit, but, sort of become more enthusiastic.
We will have hostesses from the club so that if people have questions, they'll be able to answer if it's about the name or the plant or how you obtain it or get it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So there will be people there to provide information.
And if they wish to join the club, they can certainly...
Open to men too, right?
Absolutely, we have men in the club.
I know.
Men make good gardeners.
Oh, yeah.
You
they
sure?
enjoy it. Absolutely.
I don't know.
We really would love to have more men members.
I'd like to add one thing also. We mentioned our shamrocks. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how many of those are flowering still, because as it gets dry, then the flowering stops. But the Royal Ponciana is coming now. It's in bloom. It's absolutely gorgeous. The African tulip and the bougainvillea. If someone wants to cut piece and exhibit it, it really needs to be conditioned. That is that if you take the stem, if you have a plant that has a thick stem, say for instance the bougainvillea, even though it's not big round but it's fairly thick, in order for that not to wilt, you pound it, you put it in water for at least 24 hours so it absorbs that water to prevent it from wilting. Otherwise, you might bring it to the exhibition, you just stick it in the containers in water. By Friday, that's going to be wilted. So it has to be conditioned that way. It has to soak up water for a long time. And the same thing with the Royal Poinciana and the African tulip. Those are 3 trees for sure that I can think of that need to be conditioned.
You know, that's the thing. I guess if I'd asked them, maybe if I'd listened to what my sisters told me, I might have remembered. But as you said, even in our own yards, the bougainvillea to me is beautiful.
Oh, it's so gorgeous.
You bring it inside sometimes just for its beauty. You cut a little piece, but I always find that it doesn't take long. I thought it was air conditioning. So you say pound the stem, soak it in, let it take it up, and then the last couple extra days.
Yes, that's what we call conditioning.
Okay.
So you have to condition it. And I have a lot of plants and cuttings that I'm going to exhibit. And it's not that I'm doing it to show off. I want people to see things that can grow in Cayman. And I keep a lot of my things in pots. I have beautiful bougainvilleas, and I keep them in pots because I like to put them in my deck, around my pool and places like that, even though I have them growing in the yard. And I must admit, I have 7 gorgeous bougainvilleas that I'm bringing. They're huge, but I want the public to see how you can grow a bougainvillea and standardize it so that it just fits so beautiful in a pot. Yes. Even if you have a condo, you can grow it in a condo.
That one tends to be the prickles. You look at it, you go, "Oh, this needs to be over there." Admire from a distance. Look, but don't touch. So you got it in a pot, trained condition.
Yeah, I think most of us really have a lot of our plants in pots, and we can move them.
Exactly.
Sometimes the government will call me, different departments, to decorate some function, so we can pick up the plants, put them in a truck, take them there, and bring them back.
And not only that, during hurricane, we can move them in.
That's right. And then remember, we exhibit these plants at the agriculture show. We enter them to get prizes. Well, not just to get the prizes, but to show off what we can grow in Cayman. Yeah. And we can grow almost anything here. Yeah.
It's amazing what grows here that people didn't realize. And from that perspective, if people wanted to buy, what are some of the plants that you have on sale? Because I know that a lot of people come not just for ideas, but what can they, the clipping they can get to, stick down and get their gardens going.
Well, to be truthful, I really don't sell any plants, but I give away a lot of plants. I don't think Caymanian people are into selling and things like that. But if I have them at the yard or somebody asks me to set one, I'll set it and I'll give it to them. But I like to decorate my church with these plants too. Yeah. So I take them there for certain occasions and bring them back home.
Yeah. It's something that you just shared, if I may. So we have such a gracious, hospitable nature about this country. There's a lady that they saw a plant in a particular yard and just asked permission. Just the way the little piece she took, you wouldn't even miss it. But just the way that people share the plants, people approach and ask. And you would think that she was, getting some body part or something. It was just so amazing. So people share their plants, Ms. Barnum.
Right. Yeah. And take, for instance, the mutton peppers. Everybody knows Cayman mutton peppers.
The best
well, we had lost the breed. So I finally got some seeds and we planted them again. We have given away at least 30 plants to different people, all different. And now it's back. Yeah. We have tons of the mutton pepper and we share. Yeah. But going back to our plant sale, some of the plants, I know we're going to have Thai plants, we're going to have Dieffenbachias. I'm donating about 20 Dieffenbachias because I take and I cut them off, stick them in, we know it as the dumb cane, and they're beautiful house plants, and they don't require a lot of maintenance. So I just cut them off, stick them in a pot, and lo and behold, they sprout. So I'm donating a lot of those. We have a lot of bougainvilleas, we have flowering plants, and unfortunately, Jill Wood, who's in charge of the plant sale, we probably should have checked with her to see what types of plants that she will be selling. But they've all been donated by the membership. And like I said, they're not going to be expensive like in the nurseries.
I think it's a good way too to be able to, as you said, the mutton pepper. The one I would like to see, I don't see much of, the Cayman Cordaloo, not the thick stem one.
Yeah. The one that grows wild.
Yeah, and we can't see them. The
people say it tastes better.
Oh, it's tender. It's much better, but you don't see them.
I have them on my property.
Yeah, the
yes.
stem is a little bit thinner. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, sweet! I love it. That's my favorite. I don't like the. Anyway, sorry. Lunchtime.
Take for instance the cocoa plum. Our cocoa plum is disappearing, and I go and get the cocoa plum and eat it because I love to eat them. I don't like them stewed. They're good stewed, but it's a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
But I just like to eat them and then stick it in the ground and you sprout it. We're competing against the imported cocoa plum, which is all purple. Granted, they're good and sweet too, but nothing like our local cocoa plums, the yellow or the pink one. And anywhere you see one and you can get one to eat and sprout the seed and get a plant from it, please do so.
I just want to talk about the raffle also.
Yes, well, and I forgot, but quickly going, so I see how fast time goes. Okay,
yes, just very quickly. For everyone that puts an exhibit in the exhibition, they will get receive a raffle ticket for drawings at the end of the show. And we have, I think, about 40 gifts for as raffle tickets, as raffle gifts. So it's an incentive to put something in the show.
All right. So by 10 a.m. on Friday morning, have the entries in, all clean and prepped and ready to go.
Prepped and ready to go.
All right.
For
people,
judging.
For judging, yeah. For people now who want more information, what's the best? What should they do?
925-5531. My email is down, so we might give a number.
916-4285.
Okay.
All right. And if you forget that, call us here. We'll give Fox the numbers. He'll give it to you. We won't give you his number, though, because we're not allowed to do that. No. But thanks very much. Any final thoughts, Ms. Burnham?
Just that we appreciate you having us and the public, participating, and hopefully they will come out to enjoy what is being presented.
All right.
We're encouraging families to bring in the plants for display. Just make sure you clean up your pots and clean out the dead leaves and so. Water them a day or two before and have them all prepared and bring them to the hospice.
And bring along your children, because we have those lovely children designs made out of recycled material. So don't forget. And it's open all day Saturday, 9 to 5. Just show up and enjoy.
One last thought. Hibiscus. Because we had the mealybug, which we've gotten rid of, it seems like now, we are going to be accepting hibiscus. And we have a lot of beautiful hibiscus in Cayman. Most of them only last for one day. They don't require water. But we do have a holder to display the hibiscus. So if someone has a beautiful hibiscus or Cayman hibiscus, please bring it along and we can exhibit that on Friday.
Wow, you guys are really, casting it wide.
And they have to pick that same morning.
Yes.
Well, thank you. See how quickly the time goes. I was just saying. But thank you. And maybe in the future, not because of an exhibition, but just because we're talking about, gardens and garden club members and the interests. The invitation is there to come on, either collectively or any of the other members. I can learn something. I may not be a green thumb, but boy, I'll enjoy the garden.
Yeah, and I just want to say to the public out there, I mentioned about the trend or the shift toward wild and natural plants in Cayman. Please consider this for your garden, not just chop everything down as you create a garden, but look at the wild plants. And there's so much to learn. I have actually identified many of my wild plants, and I'm now ordering signs or labels so that if people meander around, they'll see what these plants are all about. And one more thing, Berna mentioned the medicinal side of things, and we would love to come back to Radio Cayman to talk about the medicinal sides of things one of these days.
Thank you. I was going to be my last invite.
Thank you.
We're going to do that. But thank you all very much. Thanks for sharing with us. And I know my mother's listening. She's thinking, wow, plants,
Well, please make sure that she gets to see the exhibition.
All right.
Tell her not to be shy to enter as well.
Ladies, thank you all very, very much. I'm truly honored, and I'm hopefully we start to look at not just from the zero escaping perspective, but not just the drought tolerant, harder resistant, and but the idea that if we can promote and support our own, flora and fauna, it's better for us. Yeah. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful exhibition on Saturday. God's willing, I'll be able to come by a few minutes and enjoy some of the good flavorings.
Your family on Saturday.
Yeah. 9 a.m. to 4.
Thank Radio came on as well.
Definitely. All right, to our listeners, we're going to pause and take a break. When we come back, you want a little bit of touch of local flavor? You want to know something they didn't know they thought you knew? Well, we're going to tell you. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
A man answers the door Sunday night around 9 o'clock when a masked man attacks him with what police believe was a machete. Fortunately, he reacted quickly, slamming the door of the Snooze Lane home in Georgetown. The culprit took off, and police say they're looking for a slim man with a brown complexion, about 5'7" tall, last seen wearing a dark mask, hoodie, and pants. If you were in the area and saw anything suspicious or have any information that can help police in their investigation, please call Georgetown CID. The number's 949-4222. In international news, UK leader Theresa May says she will give lawmakers a chance to vote on holding a new Brexit referendum. U.S. prosecutors say a carnival worker accused of sexually assaulting women and a girl at a Montana state fair last year was arrested after he groped an off-duty police detective who was training as a Special Victims Unit officer. And U.S. home sales dropped 0.4% in April amid affordability and inventory challenges. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide in Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health's program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your tin and aluminum cans in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Help keep the Cayman Islands clean. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
Sounds of Expressions, a Toastmasters event on May 29th at 6 p.m. at the Georgetown Town Hall.
An evening of intimate poetry and live music displayed by our Toastmasters and local musicians.
Admission only $10. All proceeds go towards our youth leadership program.
Come on down and support our youth as it promises to be a night of captivating entertainment.
Sounds of Expressions.
Tickets available at Sings Rotary Shop, a Toastmasters fundraising event proudly sponsored by Radio Cayman,
Star 92.7, Audio Wave,
The Performance Lab,
FunFet, Take On Publishing, and Sings Roti Shop.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255. Let your voice be heard. And now, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And if I may, just before we get started, again, perhaps on behalf of the Garden Club, extend an invitation to join them Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. over at Jasmine Villa on the Westway Road. That was Formula Hospice as part of their upcoming floral exhibition. So you get a chance not only to see the horticulture, but the amateur photography as well. And get a chance to now welcome to the studio Dr. Curtis Barnett. it's wonderful. I think every day when I speak to people like, say, Ray Banker, for instance, to be reminded, not just through his research, not just through the conversation, but the rich history that is this country, the fabric that is people, but the things that we have that are literally growing in our soils, and sadly, how we so easily and quickly and too often just tear up the land, not just to replace a nice beautiful tasty coconut tree with a palm imported from somewhere that has little or no value other than perhaps to cause you much destruction, right, when it comes to inclement weather. But we tear it up without knowing its benefit or disrespecting ancestors' usage of this thing for medicinal purposes or otherwise. And now to have had, if they don't mind, the young ladies that just left earlier share with us, the ornamentals even. It's amazing, Dr. Barnett.
I was just saying to Ms. Hollibon as she was exiting that last month I took a photograph of several trees, and I called that photograph Shades of Green. What she was saying half an hour ago about driving in East End or wherever it is, and looking at just the colours and so on. And they were mahogany trees. And one or two others, perhaps, down by Fidelity Roundabout, by the way, very near to us here.
All right.
So.
Okay, well, Dr. Barnett, if you can, just come to you. Grab the mic there by the base. This piece
mic
here.
By the base, yes.
Pull it closely, and we're going to go walk about. No, just kidding. Let's see how that works.
Right. Better, Mr. You want it close enough so you can hear me well without my having to shout at you?
No.
Is that the case now?
No, I'm just trying to follow instructions from the people across the aisle there.
Right.
That's better. There we go.
All right.
But thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, because with that, the whole notion of, if we look at what we have here in our country, and if we start to repeat things that maybe are not accurate or are not completely accurate, then they become entrenched, and then they're repeated by others who may carry a bit of authority, even if it's only the intonation.
Right. Before you get too deeply into that subject, I'm sorry I didn't get to hear your program on Friday, but I know what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about guana, the way we say it in Cayman, right?
Yes, sir.
And I wanted to read. I was busy, otherwise I was just not able to get to listen to your program. But I thought to myself, if I have a chance, I will read this poem for you. May I read it?
Yes, please.
It says, "To get our guana," and that's from my book, Mid-Millennial Isles, which was published in our quincentennial year, 2003, a book of poems and short stories. So here's this poem. To get our guana. They came to get our guana soil, a rich and treasured bed of dung, as highly prized as gold and oil, or pure, fresh air that's breathed by lung. Behold the large four-masted rigs with big, abysmal cargo hold. Lo, man now mines and scrapes and digs and blends his sweat in thick, dark mold. The birds discovered long ago, 10,000 years before CC, and you know who he was, Chris. The loveless secret men now know of charming isles to stop and be. Seabirds and herons flew in flocks, tell tales, sandpipers, laughing jacks, boobies, seagulls, the bird that mocks, supplied the phosphate man extracts. The bird's cacophony of noise led men towards the guano earth, who craved for profit just like boys who lust for thrills and youthful mirth. This mud, like icing from a cake, with all its excrement and filth, will sweeten any Florida lake and richly fertilize its silt. So thought the traders as they mined their phosphate gold of guano mud and scraped the great bonanza find of avian offal, carcass, crud. With profit motive so intense, the guano men laid railroad tracks, the more efficient and with sense, to cart their guano fill their sacks. They surely would an export cheap supply at scarcely any cost, and fancied they had yet a heap, nor man nor nature could exhaust. So that's my poem.
Yes, very
they
fitting.
Came to get our guana.
Yeah, very fitting. And the thing is, now you referenced the show on Friday with Free, and just in that very brief, I mean, it's unfortunate that we don't get to appreciate that for that few minutes almost that we're on air, the countless days and weeks of preparation and sort of sifting through. And as we on air, without any sort of great effort, we could quickly list almost a dozen different industries that made this economy very profitable, things that we exported. And a few today, I mean, we see the shipping registry sort of carrying on that maritime heritage. Mm-hmm. We've lost a whole lot. And how much more will we lose to history?
Well, that particular, of course, that's one of the words that, is in my essay here, guana. Mm-hmm. And I won't talk much about that otherwise, since we're talking about it right now. But that particular industry, as we know, didn't last very long at all.
No.
And what happened, though, it made a few men a little bit richer, and it decimated our rich soil, however.
Yeah.
And our good mud and what we call red mole.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not sure how profitable it was in the end.
Well, it's not. I left the show Friday, and I was thinking, sometimes you take a drive, sometimes you make a left turn instead of the traditional right, just for different reasons, or you may get a chance to look at something again because of the thought process. Look at how many, and I think one of our callers referenced sort of the way our landscape now has these sort of indentations almost. You come off the main road and you go into lower lying properties that have been quarried, not unlike what we've done in recent times, not just to extract the fill to fill other areas, but what we've maybe been doing 70s and 80s, the higher lands in West Bay and the eastern districts. We've cut them down. How much of the history has we lost? How much of the flora, the plants, have we decimated? The big fruit-bearing trees, the ginips, the mangoes and the like. The walls that were there, the limestone, some bits and pieces of the slave rocks and the like. Mm-hmm. How much have we lost in this pursuit of short-term gain?
Yes.
And are we doing the same thing today? Whether it's the sandbar or the 7 Mile Beach, whether it's it's not a political statement. It's socioeconomic, but it's also the cultural and historical. But anyway, the things we think of when we can think the things we think.
Right. Well, you had started now to reference something that I was mentioning to you in writing, and that's the fact that about a week and a half ago, maybe a little bit more, I came across a statement in one of our newspapers, and someone was talking about the word batabano. Mm-hmm. And it's printed like this: the word batabano, which is the native Caymanian term for the tracks left in the sand when turtles go ashore to nest. Mm-hmm. I will posit that that's a patently erroneous statement.
Put it in West Bay. Boy, you tell lies. It's not true.
It's not true.
Okay.
Because we went over this before.
Right.
The origin of that word.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Cuba, and it was not originally said batabano, the way they say it today, and the way Caymanians say it, barbanu.
Right.
It was evidently said matamano.
Right. Which means mercy, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Came from
Don't
Cuba.
Kill,
yeah.
When the natives saw these Spaniards coming in their big ships all
Right.
of a sudden on the southern coast of Cuba. Yeah. And of course, I don't think we mentioned on that show that is the principal port, Barabanu, Cuba, to which Caymanians sailed in their schooners
right.
Back and forth. And some people living now went during that time, like
yes.
the founding managing director of Radio Cayman when he was a boy. He's related to me how he went to Cuba. And that's where they went, to Batabano. And they landed there. Most Caymanians then went west, southwest, to the Isle of Pines, which in Cuba today is known as Isla de la Juventud. But many took a little train that existed at that time, like Aunt Julia Hides. She related to me how she did. for medical aid to Havana, which is on the other coast of Cuba,
right,
the northern coast.
And that word, the discussion surrounding that word is what was the impetus for the See What I Was Saying show. It reminds me how many years ago, and I had a trained linguist from Cambridge University in a conversation, and she relayed that even though, the way we say Bottomanu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes we cut it up and say Bottomanu,
yeah.
But the way we say it, despite how it's spelled, and we can say it that way in the pronunciations, but you're the linguist and you're the expert in the Spanish language. But the A and the O, as we put it, is that correct from your perspective? That
it's written correctly in Cayman,
right?
And of course, we also say it correctly, but we've modified according to our patterns of speech.
Mm-hmm.
We've modified the Spanish, which in Spanish it would be batabano.
So, as an expert, if we see it, we would spell the B-A-T.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's the correct spelling.
Right,
and the way we say it would be Bottomanu.
Mm-hmm.
That would be correct.
Yes.
I go to sometimes the pains to try to share people. If your last name is Ebanks,
mm-hmm.
E-B, it's not Eubanks, it's Ebanks. If
right.
your last name is like,
correct.
Bob Eubanks, the host of that game show
right.
way
there
back.
There's another name called Eubanks.
Yeah,
yes.
that's Eubanks. That's
mm-hmm.
different. You should
Definitely.
say your name the way you think it should be said, the way you want it to be said, the way, irrespective of what others may think.
The way you inherited it.
The way you inherited it.
From tradition, yes.
The word Bottomanu in Cayman is Bottomanu. Whether you want to spell it this way or that way, that's the way it should be said,
mm-hmm.
respectfully.
Mm-hmm.
Referring to the place in Bottomanu.
Yes.
Right? That's it.
Right.
Okay. So how do we get people now to move from that perspective? And we will dispel this thing that is not turtle tracks.
If you ask any Caymanian of older than I am, I'm going to be 70 this year, by the way.
Well, may I say publicly that we pray our prayers that you will continue to enjoy great health
mm-hmm.
and be able to do as the good Lord, purposes in your life. Because 70 is, well, that's 70 US. I mean, that's
beautiful
a lot less.
number.
It's a beautiful number.
Age.
Yes, sir. I mean, you're 69 now, so.
Right. And we just celebrated the 70th of a very good friend of mine
mm-hmm.
and of all of
ours.
Yeah, Reverend Alison Ebanks. Yes, if you ask any Caymanian, especially a Caymanian seaman,
mm-hmm.
my age or a little bit older, what's the relationship between turtles crawling on the beach and going to nest and so on, and the word Batabanu?
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to say? I suspect that 99.9% of them would say there's no relationship.
There isn't.
No.
And unfortunately,
and this says that the tracks were called Batabanu. There's no such thing.
Right. And some limited research that we've done seems to indicate that there was an original author not long ago, not that long ago, I'm talking about in a very short time,
yes,
who posited that this might be what it was. It was picked up and has been repeated. That is now in 2 print,
mm-hmm.
right? Not just online, 2 print publications.
Right, locally. I've seen it online as well.
Right, it is online as well.
Right, well, it's false.
Yeah.
And so we've traced the history of Batabanu and
mm-hmm.
the development and the transportation of it, let's say, from Cuba to Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
That's historical and linguistic. And we're relating it now to Caymanian seamen. And Caymanians in general, we never refer to those tracks. However, the only thing that could cause some people to think in this direction is the fact that Caymanians, the seamen, the turtlers,
mm-hmm.
built crawls.
Right.
At the Keys, the Nicaraguan Keys, they built crawls in which to hold, H-O-L-D, in which to hold their turtles, their hawksbills and so on,
mm-hmm.
right? Green turtles and so on. Those were crawls. K-R-A-A-L-S. That's the word.
Yeah, not crawl like a baby does.
Correct.
Right.
K-R-A-A-L-S.
Mm-hmm.
Evidently, it comes from maybe Dutch,
mm-hmm.
Holland, and was picked up by the Portuguese. And in any case, it seemed to have been generalized from Southern Africa, South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. However, in the Romance languages, such as Portuguese and Spanish, we do have the word picked up, and they say corral.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the southwestern United States where they raise all those cattle.
The corral, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The corral, those the cattle,
Mm-hmm.
right? The word is C-O. They use the Spanish word that they picked up probably from Mexico, corral, you know. And but it comes from crawl, K-R-A-A-L.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that refers to the pens in which animals are held.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have a place in West Bay called Bottabanu. And in more recent times, we made a road, and we called it the Bottabanu Road.
For now.
Yeah, okay. but it referred to the road that was going towards the Sound.
Right.
And that area in the Sound was Bottabanu,
Mm-hmm.
right? Bottabanu proper. And in that area, especially in the North Sound, but especially in that area, they used to have several crawls,
Mm-hmm.
K-R-A-A-L-S.
But with
round pens,
Mm-hmm.
round pens made by stakes that they would put in. And these were just like the crawls that the Caymanian seamen used at the Keys.
The Mosquito Keys.
Absolutely.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, 2 years ago, I interviewed Mr. Ore Ebanks, West Bay, right?
Right.
And he said, there were quite a few turtles crawling on that beach, you know. I think he was referring to the Cocracoma Keys, either that or one of the key on which he survived the storm in 1941 that took so many Caymanians. And he talked about not loggerhead, the other type of turtle, not the green turtle. I mentioned it before.
Which one?
But turtles that were crawling. Now we come to your term. The babies, the children, the toddlers,
Mm-hmm.
like they crawl on the floors.
Mhm.
Those turtles were crawling on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's C-R-A-W-L.
Mm-hmm.
They were crawling, and they were in jeopardy of being placed into a crawl, K-R-A-A-L. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So possibly the people that got this incorrect and got this erroneous idea in their heads and into their pens, maybe they got it from that fact that turtles crawl, C-R-A-W-L, on the beach, but that crawling has nothing to do with the Bottabanu, where they made K-R-A-A-L-S, crawls, to hold the turtles.
But I think it's even, I appreciate the academic in you, but I think it's just even simpler. I think people don't know, deliberately mislead. Look at as some of my history students talk about Eustace Grant, right, in referring to the former president. History books up until now painted him in a particular light that was probably accurate. An attempt now to publish this volume
this
on
is an
him.
American president?
Yeah.
Ulysses.
Yeah, Eustace Grant, as my sons call him.
Mm-hmm.
One of the worst presidents probably ever. The amount of graft and the like, right?
Mm.
Now he's being repeated in a light that's going to say, he was a great guy, right? Over time, we may read about him and he may be the greatest thing ever, unless it's challenged, like so much more, right? And as simple as this is, the fact that it's been repeated significantly and repeatedly, inaccurately.
After a while, people believe a lie, if you keep saying it, you keep repeating it. Yes.
Yeah, if it's not challenged.
Even if it wasn't intended as a lie, initially.
Yeah. And something that isn't challenged may become accepted as being truthful,
Mm-hmm.
right? As being factual.
Mm-hmm.
And as simple as this is just one more thing.
Right.
The turtle crawls that you reference.
Yes, which ones now?
Right.
The nouns?
No. Where we kept the
K-R-A-A-L?
where we kept the crawls, right? For the the
pens.
The pens.
Right, yes.
Right? Just one quick thing. We see it on land, we see it in the sea. Drive through Grand Cayman specifically in your mind. Anywhere comes to mind where you can still think of seeing the sticks still there. All in the North Sound. They're just about gone. Right. We've decimated almost our physical landscape, our people, our food, our heritage, our history. What's left? And this is why a simple word like that can't go unchallenged.
Right. Right. Well, I hope we're setting the record straight.
Yeah.
And people are understanding now the relationship between a crawl, which is a pen in which to hold the animal, and several of those were located in Bottabanu, just like at the Keys.
Right.
And distinguishing that noun, K-R-A-A-L, from the verb, C-R-A-W-L, which is like what a baby does.
Right.
And when the turtler says there were lots of turtles crawling on that beach,
right.
that's the verb.
Dr. Barnett, we do have a caller online, sir.
All right.
Did I put a headset? I did and I didn't. Let me...
Yeah, you give me the headset.
I put it over for you. I didn't put it back. All right,
With
in
the
the
help of
studio.
this caller, perhaps we can put this one to rest.
I will even say if you can find a place that's, put that in there for you. For those who are listening, 949-8037 or 949-6990. Of course, the toll-free line is open as well, 1-800-534-TALK. Get a chance to speak with Dr. Curtis Barnett. Let's go to our phones. Welcome, you're on Talk Today.
Well, you're talking about crawls, no? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
How are you, sir?
Yeah. And, reference was made to turtles crawling on the Keys out around the Rackwood Coast on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There probably still are. I'm sure there are turtles crawling on the beaches all around Cayman. And right there on Henning Beach, up until about a year and a half ago, on any turtle nesting season, you could go down there any night if you had the inclination to watch, and you would see turtles crawling up on the beach. In fact, you could go there early in the morning, you'd see tracks. I'm sure Mr. Barnett there, Dr. Barnett, I think he's one of them early morning turtle trackers. Turtle trackers.
I'm not an official tracker, but I've certainly seen the tracks. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing about this thing with Bob Manu.
Yes.
I think people come here and take French leave to try to change a lot of things that are cultural Cayman or heritage, and nobody speaks up about it. And I think that if we don't speak up about it, it'll all be deep six, as the old folks used to say.
These days they talk about fake information.
Yes,
or fake news.
When have you heard when last have you heard the word Marums or the word Long Point or Thames Point?
Yes.
Or are they Haida Bay?
Yes.
Or Surisco?
Yeah, you don't hear too much about them anymore.
You talk with Bugsy, he'll tell you Surisco every four words.
All right.
But or Wicksville or Sand Point.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh,
you speak to the younger generation; they haven't heard perhaps any of those terms.
Right, and that goes back to our educational system.
Right.
What are we? I think there's half a dozen adages as far as culture go. If we don't know our culture and heritage, then we're not able to really plan a good path forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I think somewhere along the line somebody has got to really take the bull by the horn and do a real what words do I want to say, composite or a real big infusion of Cayman culture and heritage within the educational system.
There are a few people, I think, who are promoters, of that concept. I know my sister is one of them, and for the teaching of social studies and so on in our schools, much more than it. And there are several books available. I think that they made a course. There is a curriculum. I'm not sure how much is being used, or if it's being used in all the schools,
or if it's inaccurate.
Right, it needs to be gone through, of course. Again.
But I mean, we've got a cultural plan or a cultural project on the table, and I think that has to be cranked up very, 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 very fast and furious so that a lot of this, our culture and our heritage, can be preserved. Because I don't know whether you looked at the papers, I guess it was Friday, and you see the number of other cultures who are here in quite amazing
preponderant numbers.
Levels.
Mm-hmm.
And if Caymanians don't speak up or don't stand up and demonstrate a little bit of our culture, and I heard. And
well, that's what I'm trying to do to a certain extent when in this essay and otherwise.
I know. I'm curious, and I made the comment that I think it was either Sunday or was it Monday or maybe yesterday that they were having an intergenerational, I think, cook-off or something.
Sunday.
At one of the
Adventist church.
Yeah.
Or Adventist school.
And, and I said, I wonder if they'll have any turtle meat and cornbread, or will they have any balmy and pork lard? Or, I mean, without those kind of things, they can't call it intergenerational. So,
but some people still cultivate those things. Even my wife knows how to make the balmy.
Yeah, and she's what, Swiss, no?
Correct.
Swedish or Swiss, yeah.
Swiss, yes.
So and I think there needs to be an effort to inculcate some of these things in those cultures that come here. And it has to be a dedicated effort or a direct effort. Because if they come here and they don't know anything about it, then more or less they're gonna kind of soak in with their whatever it is, and before you know it, that has taken a foothold here, and so we'll be left without any culture or a very distorted.
What we have can often be integrated also with the knowledge with which they come, and of course in those northern countries, for example, now the potato, the Irish potato as we called it, right? Is very common and commonly used. I mean, in those northern countries, and that's what my wife was used to. Just to use her as an example, but she found the bread fruit to be such a great substitute. She makes at least a half dozen different things from bread fruit. Including the cookies.
You make cake from bread fruit. You put it in all your stews and rundowns, and that's another thing. In fact, just maybe last night or the night before, we were having a conversation about people calling this thing rundown. We call it a simple old fish stew.
Fish stew, yes. Right. Right.
So I think especially the educational governance measures has to really jump on the wagon and
well, hopefully some people involved in education up to the very highest levels of it in our government will be listening to what we're saying today.
Well, I think I know a lot of them are very well aware of just basically the trend of what we talked about here in the last 4.5 minutes or 5 minutes, what is it? But sadly, I don't think enough is being done. So
yes, sir.
But I think these kind of programs, it should tend to enlighten some of the folks who's got any interest in it, or who should have interest. In fact, some cultural, some heritage element should be coagulated in that whole process of what the work permit. So somewhere in that process, there should be something to deal with a lot of this. Anyway, I'll leave you with that. And
thank you. And as you go, perhaps as we think about what you shared, maybe we'll ask ourselves, just look along 7 Mile Beach, for instance. How many of the names of the traditional places that we knew exist anymore? Right? And how much of, as important as it is, the fight to preserve the beach accesses are being championed and supported by the country, not just for a handful of people, but for generations.
Right, and I think there's a process that I think within the jurisdiction of the court now with these about these beach accesses, and if you go back to the origins of that, you can see how that whole process got distorted.
Right.
And hopefully that the courts will be able to correct it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. And with that, respectfully, we'll just pause take a break. Thanks for giving us a few extra minutes into the next segment. When we come back, we'll continue. Dr. Curtis Barnett. We do have some callers. We invite you to stay on the line.
It may be our anniversary at Tony's Toys Automotive Center, but you will be the one celebrating when you take advantage of our fantastic tire special. For a limited time only, buy 1 tire, get 5% off. 2 tires, 10% off. 3 tires, 15% off. 4 tires, get 20% off. Choose from over 2,000 tires in stock and a variety of brands for any make or model vehicle. Drive in today and save on brand new tires at Tony's Toys. Call 623-TIRE. That's 623-8473. Or visit tonystoys.net.
That is the true position at Tony's Toys.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Tourism is estimated to contribute 25 to 30% to our GDP, and 80% of our tourism industry comes from cruise. You do the math. It's time to build the piers and protect our cruise tourism industry into the future.
Looking forward, looking bright.
Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Business owners, managers, and marketers interested in learning how digital and social media marketing can help grow your business? Join Yellow Media Group Monday, May 27th at Yellow Digicon and unleash your company's digital potential. Learn from international digital marketing and social media experts, including speakers from Google and Matchcraft, plus a Fortune 500 digital marketing strategist. Complimentary registration for Yellow Media Group customers. Register now at digiconcayman.com or findyellow.com. Presented by Yellow Media Group in partnership with Google.
Place household garbage in large bags prior to its placement in a garbage container to avoid spillage during collection. A suitable garbage container must be made of sturdy materials that will allow it to withstand weathering. A tightly fitted cover is also necessary to keep out water and stray animals. Do your part. Keep your surroundings clean. Store household garbage in a suitable garbage container. For more tips on proper waste packaging, please visit DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us, and thanks again to Dr. Curtis Barnett for sitting in with us. And hopefully, as we celebrate our people, we get a chance to enjoy our culture and share it. Respectfully, sir, we have a couple of callers as we go to our phones.
Right.
Welcome. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
For the good, and good afternoon to the great, good Dr. Barnett.
And good afternoon to you.
This is Steve McField.
Yes.
This is Steve. It's always a pleasure, sir.
You have a distinctive voice.
Yes, thank you. It's so good to see that you have an outlet for all the great cultural contributions that you make. I admire them. I think that you're one of the great icons in Cayman, and I was just sitting in the bank. I was just trying to do a transaction, and I was just looking at some of the people who came in, and I was just thinking, people of today now don't talk to each other. They don't greet each other. It's all about who has the most money is the most important. And people like yourself, who's a great icon, a great important, who would be important in any other society except Cayman, would be in the forefront of the cultural direction, and yet your work is not part of the whole curriculum of this generation, so that they can know where they came from, how they got here, and where they are going. I admire your work. I don't know you.
Thank you very much.
I admire your work. Talking about the crawl.
Yes.
One of my uncles, one of my far cousins, I think it was, his cousins to me, or uncle to my mother. He was a crawl manager, a crawl keeper in the North Town.
All right.
Yes, he had a house built over the water. right next to the crawls, and he.
Similar to what Caymanian turtlers and seamen would do at the Keys.
That's right. That's right. They were built out of mangrove sticks.
Yes.
And he managed the turtle crawls for the two turtle moguls of the day, H.O. Merritt and Company and the McTaggart brothers.
Yes.
He looked at their crawls, fed the turtles, until they were transported out to Florida, where they were transported to the factories and so forth when they came in.
Mm-hmm.
He did that for many years. One of my grand cousins also was on a Majestic when she went down. And,
yes. What was his name?
His name was Woodley McFeel. He was a cook.
All right. Okay.
On the Majestic when she went down.
Yes.
And out in the Skidakee.
He was one of the 5 crew members. Of the Majestic. The majority of them that went down, in fact, were the Rangers.
Yeah, the Rangers.
Yeah. But I think there were 5 crew members altogether, including the Captain Stedman.
Captain Stedman, yes.
Budden.
Yes, the information I got from some of the people who were there, they asked him to go ashore with them, and the wind was blowing heavy, and some of the people in East End were trying to get ashore to save them, to tie themselves onto the mangroves.
Correct.
He said no, he wasn't going to go because his cornbread was still in the oven. and Captain.
Oh boy.
And Captain Stedman told him that if he left the ship,
yes,
he wouldn't be paid by Dr. Roy McTaggart when he came into Georgetown.
Right. Well, that was one of the threats that the captain gave.
Yeah. So yeah. And you talked about Isle of Pines. At one time that was like Havana to Cayman.
I know.
I mean, like a New York to Cayman.
I know. Yes.
A lot of people went there.
You could say like Havana too, because so many did go to Havana. I mean, as a first choice.
And there's a town now called Jacksonville.
Yes, on the southern coast of
southern
Isle of Pines. Yes.
Their language is similar to ours. Their music is similar to ours. They speak similar to ours.
Have you had the privilege of going there?
Yeah, and there's a documentary on 45-minute documentary.
Right, I've seen that.
You've seen that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, and that was the first town established by Caymanians in Isle of Pines. Yeah.
Yes.
Right, and Jacksonville, named after Mr. Jackson. I don't remember his first name now, but.
Yes, and through going there, I discovered that I had family that I didn't know about.
All right.
Yes, because my grandfather used to go there in a boat.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time that I discovered, I went over there, and one of my aunts said to me, "Do you know that you have one aunt there?" And I said, "No." I said, "Who are they?" And they said, "Well, it's my sisters. I have sisters." And she said, "I said, well, how do you have sister?" And then she told me, she said, "Did they ever tell you why your oldest uncle and your grandfather never spoke for 35 years?" And I says, "No." She says, "Well, he came on the ship from Cayman, and as the ship landed in Isle of Pines, his Spanish girlfriend came on the ship."
Mm-hmm.
And my uncle says to him, "What kind of business is this? You left my mother in Georgetown a few days ago." They got into a row. They got into a fight.
Yes.
And my uncle left the ship, took those days called a steamer, which was like a ferry to
Barabanu.
Yeah, got a visa. Yes, and went to America. Never came back until the 1950s. That was in the 1920s.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so I have those people that I didn't know existed.
Mm-hmm.
So keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
I get on to the radio now and then, and Sterling asks me to come on, and we talk about those things. And
yes, sir.
I know, yes.
And another big export that we had here even before we had the guana. It was the mahogany and cedar.
Oh yes, of course.
That was plentiful in Georgetown. I understand that the whole Georgetown area was a cedar forest,
mm-hmm.
and of course it was granted to three or four people in those days to cut timber.
That was the early 1700s, and that the mahogany cutting was in fact one of the earliest of Caymanian trades.
That's right. And you
I think that's why we have the Fosters here today. And they, of course, they brought some of their servants, slaves.
That's right.
And,
yes.
So on.
And they used to ship from a place in South Sound called Pullen Dam Point.
All right, I've heard it.
Yes. So anyway, keep the good work.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know. I don't know how you'll make a breakthrough to be able to get your work publicly in the schools and in the establishments. I think Dwayne said something about, or you said something about the immigration department should be a prerequisite for work permits to know our culture, know our history. I don't know if that's going to work, because when a society like ours, and society who accepts other cultures being inferior to ours, and accept that juxtaposition, and the other people who coming into ours and who has the inferior numbers, who has the minority numbers, they believe that they're superior. You're not going to win that battle, because unless your frontline people, the people who keep the doors open and closed, unless they have a policy and an ideology that protect their culture and protect their people, that's not going to work. But because as long as you accept other people's culture to be superior to yours and yours inferior, you will get anything that you have just to belong to the other culture, so that you can be recognized as part of them. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, our continual explorations and discoveries and our getting of education, as we're doing. I mean, there's Dwayne, there's yourself, there's here I am. That's what we're doing, and we realize that it's not a question of being superior or inferior. It's a question of being different.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? All right. Have a wonderful week, sir. Okay, with that, we take the other caller. Welcome. You're on Talk Today. Hello, good afternoon, my friend. How are you today?
Okay, good afternoon to Dr. Barnett.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, well, speaking of turtles.
Right. Tortugas. Turtles.
Yes, they claim that Christopher Columbus came here and found a lot of turtles.
Yeah, not Grand Cayman, but evidently all he saw was Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Okay. Well, I saw a documentary with Christopher Columbus a few months ago.
Yes.
And it wasn't nice.
Okay. In what sense?
Some of the lands that he went to and they claim that he discovered, he used to slave the native people.
Like in the first Spanish colony, Hispaniola, La Española.
Well, let me speak.
Go on.
He used to slave the native people. And those who didn't want to work, he would chop their hands off. Let me finish.
Go on.
And the newborn children in those lands, some of those lands that he claimed that he discovered, he would take the newborn children and he would beat them against the iron shore and kill them. So we shouldn't be here talking about Christopher Columbus too much. Like he was so good in discovering lands around the world, because from that documentary that I saw with Christopher Columbus, it's something that I never learned in school. But thank God for computers.
Okay.
A few months ago, I learned the truth who Christopher Columbus really was. And he was a very evil and wicked individual. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. And Dr. Martin, with that, though, we recognize that as knowledge becomes more accessible to more of us, as a caller reference, we see the historical record. We use Christopher Columbus as an example. We go back even further, we're seeing that the Chinese perhaps even ventured as far as North America long before, and even some of the maps that were used. Now, it is, I think, necessary for people to explore its history, for there to be this fervent desire to know more about its origin, and then for that information to be disseminated. But are we lacking the resolve and the people, just the resource to do such?
Well, the dissemination is a big factor in the process, you know. And if he had discovered and nobody had written anything about it, and he himself hadn't had some of the problems he had with his monarchs, and they hadn't sent out then to soldiers and people who would, and colonizers who would colonize the Americas principally, and then from there other parts of the world, history would have been completely different.
Yeah. And I think too, the caller's last point in that, not learning some of that in school, it's probably, for want of a better word, convenience. Political expedience, economic convenience. For the way
politics and economics enter in there, and of course the Norsemen,
yes,
those northern the Vikings and so on, they're credited with having discovered America, long before Christopher Columbus.
Right, and I think this is where we need to be able to look at multiple sources. I love, and I wish I was better at the languages, but we got introduced, through U.S. President Reagan, the Russian proverb, trust but verify, and that's something that we're not doing enough of. We look at the thing, we're not going back to the original sources, whether it's the Bible that we're trying to understand what was being preached, or whether it's some other historical document. We do have, he's telling me the break time, and then we go into the news. Is that what we're doing? Well, we'll see. Wow. Okay, Dr. Curtis Barnett, then we will come back. The phone lines are open. We'll take some calls. We're going to have Dr. Barnett continue to share with us. 949-8037, 949-6990. Of course, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
How would you like to drive off in a brand new 2019 all-white Mercedes-Benz CLA 250? On Saturday, June 1st at Mango Tree, you could be that lucky person. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman presents its annual charity fundraising event, Benzorama 2019. That's right, one lucky winner will be announced at the Mango Tree on Saturday, June 1st, and that lucky winner could be you.
If you don't have a ticket, you don't have a chance.
Tickets are $25 each, or 5 tickets for only $100. Proceeds from the funds raised go towards various Lions community projects. Tickets can be purchased online at eventpro.ky, or stop by one of our ticket outlets, including Radio Cayman Studios, Funky Tangs, South Coast Bar, Reflections Food for Less, and West Bay Road SO, or can be purchased from any of our active Lions community members. Benzorama 2019. We are all winners once you support the Lions and our community.
It's time for Tool Fest 2019. May 24th and 25th at A.L. Thompson's. Pick up their flyer loaded with the best savings of the season. There are 8 pages filled with deals, and they're just the tip of the Tool Fest iceberg. Save 15% in the entire tool department. Enjoy in-store demos and gifts. Meet with the experts from Milwaukee, Stanley, Makita, and others. The savings don't stop there. Trex Stacks, Shop Vacs, and Valspar Paint are all 15% off. Tool Fest on May 24th and 25th only at A.L. Thompson's.
RC Fusion featuring Billboard pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Nathan General Maintenance and Construction. You break it, they fix it. Call the General for a free quote. 917-7586.
RC Fusion.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Hey, look ya.
The Talent Exposition of the Arts is now 18 years old. Cayman, get ready! The new South Hub Community Foundation presents the 18th Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts. Sunday, June 30th at the Hawkwill Theatre. Take in awesome performances by Caitlin Tyson, UCCI Performing Arts, Liana Da Costa, Georgetown Primary School Performing Arts, Erica Rocket McBean, along with special appearances by gold medalist Stella Marie Junior Dancers and MCs Andrel Harris and Anika Connolly. Part of the proceeds from the talent exposition will go to support the Francis Bodden's Children's Home. Prepaid tickets are available at Funky Tanks and Winner's Circle for $10 or $15 at the gate. The 2019 Talent Exposition of the Arts from 5:30 p.m. Sunday, June 30th at the Hawkwill Theatre. Get your tickets today.
Hi, this is Bob Kingsley, and this weekend on the Countdown,
we're proudly sponsored by Merengue Town. Liven up your weekends and let loose with grooves of Merengue Town. It's time to feel the rhythm, time to feel the vibes. It's time for Merengue Town.
and of course the rest of the 40 hottest hit makers on radio this weekend on the Country Top 40.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio K-Man for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of K-Man's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio K-Man News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
A search of 3 homes on Friday leads to multiple arrests after an ongoing burglary investigation. Police say a 25-year-old West Bay woman has been charged with 5 counts of dishonest handling of stolen goods. A 47-year-old Georgetown man faces 3 counts, and third suspect, a 46-year-old Georgetown man, faces 1 count of dishonest handling of stolen goods. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Theresa May has said MPs have one last chance to deliver Brexit, urging them to back what she said was a new deal. MPs will get a vote on whether to hold another referendum if they back the EU withdrawal agreement bill, she said. The bill also contains new guarantees on workers' rights, environmental protections, and the Northern Irish border, as well as a customs compromise. The first sign that something was wrong in the small southern Pakistani town of Ratodero appeared in February. A handful of worried parents had taken their children to the doctor, complaining that their little ones could not shake off a fever. Within weeks, more children came forward suffering from a similar illness. By April 24th, 15 children had been tested positive for HIV, though none of their parents were found to be carrying the virus. And celebrity chef Jamie Oliver has said he is devastated after his restaurant group went into administration with 1,000 jobs being lost. The group, which includes the Jamie's Italian chain, Barbacoa, and 15, has appointed KPMG as administrators. 22 of the 25 restaurants in Jamie Oliver's restaurant group have now been closed. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music, and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman. Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255. Let your voice be heard. And now, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. I trust that you had a restful, peaceful, wonderful holiday yesterday. In the studio, Dr. Curtis Barnett. On the phones, a couple of calls. Still no chocolate, but let's see what happens first. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today. Hey, how you doing?
All right, man. All right.
Good to hear from you always, man.
Yeah, man. All right. Nice day yesterday, all raining.
I like that.
Yeah.
Especially when it rains in West Bay. I'm a consumer of drinking water. I love to collect it also.
Yeah.
I mean, right into the receptacle,
There you go.
And then I strain it into the bottle and...
you go on with it?
Oh
yeah.
I have it on my...
All
right, go on.
Yes, sir.
No, I mean, do you tag the water too?
I don't tag it, but I don't put a label on it either. But it helps to prevent me having to acquire some of these others that have labels on them.
Oh, like an expiration date.
I don't have that either, and I'm not trying to market it.
No, I just messing with you, man.
I know. What are you saying today?
Yes, sir. No, man. Thank you for all the knowledge that you was talking on the radio, man. Thank you.
Well, Dwayne seemed to have been interested in, you see, the basis of this conversation is an essay that I wrote several months ago called The Influence of Spanish on Caymanian Speech. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I know my grandfather, I believe he was born in Cuba.
All right.
I believe so.
Of Caymanian parents?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. Mr. Rupert, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mr. Rupert Moxon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I know we got that tied into us somehow.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I wouldn't tell anybody that he was not related to me, even though I bear the name Barnett. All right.
Right. But just spinning back to some history, the one part in history that I notice in schools or in just all around, one place I know that they never really talks about is that place Haiti, the Haitian people.
Yes.
Yeah, and not to forget too, like how or who really colonized us, or how or what made the people come here. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find that a lot in school. You know.
Right.
Or anybody really talking about it. But there's one guy in history that stands out too, like Columbus, Mr. Napoleon Bonaparte.
Mm-hmm.
And he was supposedly the greatest, or one of the best, I don't know, strategic war people in his time, at that time.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was a warmonger.
Yeah, he was 5'7", I believe, and
I think you're right.
Take on people bigger or countries bigger than him. But anyways, he went to Haiti, and he couldn't beat this one guy called La Toussaint or
La Toussaint. Yes, go on.
And he went there 3 times, couldn't beat this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he managed to somehow trick this guy into coming to France or wherever by himself. And that's how he got him. He hung him the day as he landed, And ever since then, the Haiti people has, been touched or marked by the world that these people here, try to watch what you're doing with these people here,
Yes.
They all live up to that guy, but that guy there, so I can't really pronounce his name, right? So forgive me when I say that guy, I don't mean him to be disrespectful or anything like that.
You're referring to Toussaint Louverture.
Right. That's how I heard. That's right. That guy there.
Right.
I won't even try to mock the name, sorry.
Well, it's an interesting history, and in many ways it's a sad history, but they certainly were successful in rebelling against their overlords, the French colonialists and government.
So I always wondered why they never thought about him. I always wondered.
Well,
really wondered,
that's why we have the public library, so let me put a plug in there for that. Here in Cayman, we've got a lot of resources that with books and so on. You have to take one book and compare it with the next, and these days we live in an age of information. You go online, you can get information. Some of it, we said before, can be a little bit fake or erroneous, and so you have to be careful.
You see how I can't say the name like that, right?
Right.
We might can read it, but we never can pronounce it.
Well, that's why we have to encourage the children now, the young people, to learn French as well as Spanish. Yeah.
Unless we heard it pronounced, we could never really understand. And just what I'm saying, why we don't get these kind of lessons in school. Like what the other guy said, we don't really get the true thoughts of Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
get this big discovery, shiny guy here. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you're certainly welcome.
Hey, thanks, man. Talk to you very soon, all right? All right, let's take a little caller. Welcome, you're on Talk Today. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Barnett.
Yes.
I really appreciate your poem about the guano.
All right.
It is so very beautiful. Thanks for sharing it with us.
You're welcome.
And I have a question that you might be able to elaborate on. I remember hearing the old-timers say that the men were going to the crawls. They used that expression.
Yes.
I know you spoke earlier in your on this program about the crawls in the North Sound area there, down there by off Batmanu.
Botmanu.
And Batmanu.
Yes.
And I'm just trying to perhaps ask you to give a full picture of what used to happen. Did the men put the turtle in the crawls over on the keys then as well to hold them?
Yes, you see, when they went to the keys, they say they stayed several weeks.
Correct.
And in fact, into like 3-4 months at a time, and so they would catch the turtles, and they needed a place to hold HOLD, hold those turtles, literally, and that's what they did. That's one of the first things they did besides building their hut as soon as they got there. And they took some of the materials from Cayman, but it was principally the mangroves that they got, black mangrove, red mangrove, and so on.
I see.
And they would take these long poles and sharpen them and put them into the earth there and make these became stakes. So they put those stakes into the ground.
Correct.
And they made pens. Yeah, and those pens were the crawls, Kraals. And sometimes, by the way, that word was erroneously spelled. I've seen it erroneously spelled as crawl, Crawl, and that's how it's pronounced. But really the word is crawl, Kraal. We've adopted that word from the originally, evidently, the Dutch. And then the Portuguese and the Spaniards took it up and modified it in their way. It became corral in Spanish. But, they would go to the crawl. So they had their crawls, and then when they brought the turtles here to Cayman, they also needed a place to hold those turtles before they would ship them.
I just wanted to make sure in my own mind that I was correct in thinking that, because I'm sure you could back me up, they used to say, the men are going to the crawls.
Yes, that was a good. That was a common expression too. Yes.
Expression, yes. Okay, and Dwayne, I was wondering if you had got any further clarification on the bleeding tree, because what was happening, I was on the road and I had to go in and out of my car for various errands, and if you've had that clarification, I will not speak any further.
Okay, no, I was trying to send you a message. It hasn't gone through, I see. Because as you, maybe listeners will join us, there was a caller earlier asking about what's the correct name for the bleeding tree. And that was a discussion when you were on with us last that we had as well.
Correct.
Are you able to help us with any more?
Sure,
okay.
Sure I am. Yes, people will remember that myself and yourself and...
the Handsome Ray?
The Handsome Ray.
There you go.
We're on just before Easter. And
a little over a month ago,
various,
yes.
Various... I'm not remember the name now that I want to say. Various old-time things that used to happen before Easter. Anyway.
Right.
And I did say at that time, and as well as Ray did, that the proper name of the tree was the physic nut tree. And I must tell you that I went on Good Friday to the Birch Tree Hill area, not the Barkers area. Maybe there's one in the Barkers area as well, but the one I went to was in the Birch Tree Hill area. And I saw this thing with my own 2 eyes. It is real. I guess we got there around about 1:45, and there were other people there, and they had already made some cuts in the tree. And the tree was dripping what, if you didn't know the difference, you would have thought it was blood. It is, it just would give you goose pimples, all goosebumps, all over you. honest to goodness. And then one of the ladies that was there before I got there, she said, why don't you just put your finger on it and let it drip on your hand? And I did. And when it, when it sort of, it just became a bit thinner than on your own finger, it looked just like blood. Like if you had made a cut in your own hand. It was amazing. But I just also wanted to say that since I have been listening to the ladies, I said, oh gosh, let me try to see if I can get any more information even than that.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Did you get a picture of it, by the way?
There's a picture of it, yeah, but I'm not smart enough. No problem sending you that, but go on Google and find it. It's not true. Okay, it's J-A-T, Jatropha curcas. Jatropha That's the scientific name of it rather.
Oh, could you say that again? Jatr?
O-T-H-A.
O-T-H-A.
P as in pop.
Yeah.
P as in pop. Jatropha.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And then another word, C-U-C-C-A-S. C-U-R-C-A-S.
Curcas.
Yeah.
Jatropha
and
curcas.
apparently there was this person who did some research on it in a book called Jamaican Ethnobotany. And her name is Martha Warren Beckwith. And she has a lot of information there, which I won't go into. But I'm telling you, this thing is real. But not to mix it up, please, with the orangey sap that comes from the birch tree. That is a whole different thing.
Yep.
I just wanted to make that point for everybody, because I know about the orangey sap from the birch tree too. But this is like real blood coming out of a tree.
And no, just for clarity, is this the first time you've seen it on Good Friday?
The first time in my life I have ever seen it was on Good Friday.
Right.
And it has to be between like noon. Apparently, they say that it begins to get pink around noon, and then it gets like in about a half an hour or so, it gets really looking like blood. It's amazing, honest to goodness. I just can't explain it.
And it doesn't, from what I've been told, by people, who have actually tried it the Thursday before or any other time of the year, you won't see that.
That's what everybody has said, and I don't doubt them because I think it just goes out it just goes back to the white sap in about 2 hours, I'm told.
Yeah, that's what I understand. Amazing, huh?
It is amazing. Amazing.
Well, I'm thinking, to be honest with you, I'm thinking about the word coincidence. Suppose it had happened, the week before or the week after. I mean, suppose it did not coincide with what is known as Good Friday. I mean, then we wouldn't attach any further significance to it.
But it doesn't, huh? So, divine. What I use.
Really? Well, yeah, but let's not carry it into the realm of super.
Right.
Station, right?
Yeah. But I can't explain it, like I said.
Yes,
but I can only say
But it occurs.
It occurs. Now, I know that. It does. So I just wanted to clarify that.
It is a very interesting coincidence.
Physic nut tree. Yes, ma'am.
Physic, P-H-Y-S-I-C, and then N-U-T, and then tree.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Thank you very much,
ma'am.
very much. Thank you very much.
You all have a wonderful day now.
Thank you for your call.
In Dr. Barnett, this is not only the power of radio, but the power of radio came in that we have this discussion as we encourage others to look specifically now as we're in the Cayman Islands, especially if you're here generational, or whether this is going to be your home for a period of time or you want it to be, to respectfully pay attention to your own history and ancestry, your own culture, but to look at this adopted land now and to be amazed. Now, the physic nut tree isn't just found here. I mean, we've seen the videos online from Barbados and other places, but that is one practice that is common maybe in the Judeo-Christian world as it is. But when we look specifically at the way Caymanians and the way the Cayman Islands perhaps do, say, act. There are things. I mean, the turtle crawls. Yeah, the English language is a interesting language, but the crawl that you do and the crawl that you have, not the same.
It's an interesting language, but we have certain peculiarities, such as, for example, now.
Yes.
Can you think of the way in which, or the ways in which Caymanians say the names of certain nationalities?
No, but before I answer, is that from your exploration?
No,
research?
I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a secret.
No,
thing,
no, it's not. Do you think it's said the same in West Bay as it is in West End, East End, Georgetown? Is it the said?
There may very well be
variations
or different interpretations, or.
So since we talk about Cuba,
yes,
instead of Cubans,
right?
I know in West Bay we say Cubans.
Many people do.
Yeah, not to be disparaging. It's just
Cubians.
Cubians, right? not Cubans.
Right.
Even though that's what, hopefully, how we spell it.
In standard English, for sure, it's Cubans.
Right. But I know, and I'm wondering, is it say the same in Camaraka or in East End or in Bodden Town? Cubans. Not disparagingly, at least not in my household. All right?
Right.
So that's one example.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a valid question you're asking there.
Mm-hmm.
Do all Caymanians say it that way?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is no.
No, I sincerely. So
right.
that's one.
Correct. And of course, the way they say it in Spanish is cubano.
Cubano.
Or plural cubanos.
That's
one. The other one, of course, begins with H.
H. Okay. Let me see. H. A lot of us have gone to the Bay Islands and have family there. Mm-hmm. So we're not talking about Hondurans.
No, sir.
What are we talking about, sir?
You're talking about Honduranians.
A Honduranian.
And by the way, before you laugh too much.
Yes, sir.
Look in some dictionaries and you'll find it.
Oh, okay. I have not done that. Yeah.
No, I chanced to have done it. And I did find it in Merriam-Webster, for example.
Mm.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And there it is right there, Honduranian, Ranean. But why not Honduranian?
Why not?
You know the equivalent in Spanish, which is Hondureño.
Yeah.
Hondureño, from Hondureño to Honduranian.
It's a natural chance, yeah.
Very natural and close step there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they call themselves Hondureños. We'll call them that.
Yeah.
But in good modern classical English, they're referred to as Hondurans. Right? Hondurans. And I think that one wins the day because most English speakers would say it that way, referring to people and characteristics of their culture.
Yeah.
Referring to Honduran. But in Caymanian jargon, they're often referred to as Caymanian speech. Yeah. They're referred to as Honduranians.
What about a Belizarian?
I personally say Hondurans.
Yeah. What about Belizarian?
Belizarian, Belize, you know. And well, Belizarian is correct, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Is it? Okay.
You wouldn't say Belizean.
Belizean?
Right?
All right.
All right. So, but how about Caymanian? Okay. If a Caymanian says Honduranian or Cuban, you know, he has a little background there, which in linguistics is known as affinity. Mm-hmm. Because of the affinity of the way we say our own nationality, Caymanian, such as the compass, which is a Caymanian compass.
No, not anymore. Ian has been killed.
Really?
Yeah.
Ian has been killed.
Yeah.
All right, who killed it?
And that's the question Craig asks.
But Caymanians have a valid, you know. And then there was the Argentinian, right? And there was the Bahamian, and there was the Canadian, and there was the Colombian, and the Indian, and the Peruvian. So why not Cuban? And why not Honduranian? So there you have it, because of affinity. That's the word in linguistics, which causes many Caymanians then to say, hey, you know, he's a Cuban.
Yeah.
Or he comes out of the Cuban culture. So there you have it. Right, but did you know that the word Cayman often substitutes? It's not just peculiar, I would say, with the compass and the owners thereof, but other people have used Cayman as an adjective instead of going on to say Caymanian. And that has been done for decades. I've noticed in my reading and my listening, I've heard Caymanians who speak English well, you know, as well as speak Caymanian. They would sometimes use Cayman as an adjective. Yeah. So you take a look and be aware of that possibility sometimes as you read and listen. And we will pause here to, emphasize that fact. However, I prefer the adjective Caymanian, adjective of nationality, and or a word relating to the culture or things that relate to Cayman, characteristic of Caymanian people and Caymanian culture. In Spanish, that would be Caymaneño or Caymanero. I learned that word, I think, Caymanero, in relation to maybe laxes coming to Cayman back and forth. And a few months ago, you had Mr. Norman Budden on here talking about those kinds of things. And he speaks good Caribbean, he says. And the word they used was Caymanero. But in Spanish, to refer to Caymanian. Yeah. But the adjective Caymaneño is also very proper in Spanish, referring to Cayman. But so I've seen that word, the word Cayman, not only used as a demonym, which is a noun denoting the citizens of Cayman, but also used as an adjective. However, I prefer the adjective Caymanian to refer to native Caymanians, and I think, even to those who generally employ Cayman as an adjective, the noun denoting the citizens, that is Caymanian, they would say that, I believe. And no one would say, for example, referring to a Caymanian woman, she's a Cayman. I think we would all agree there that you couldn't use that adjective there.
No. All right. Well, Dr. Barnett, we've got a final break to take, and hopefully we have more installations, but a few minutes left of our show, so please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm Dawn McLean Brady, president of the Cayman Islands Small Business Association, better known as CISPA. Small businesses drive Cayman's economy. As small business owners, we depend on government to create an environment where we, as entrepreneurs, can do what we do best, and that's to provide products and services that are valuable to our customers and, in turn, employ others. The cruise piers and cargo ports provide these opportunities. Encourage our government to build a port and let the Caymanian entrepreneurial spirit shine. Support the port, support our tourism.
Have you just completed a weekend cleanup project? Do you plan to dispose of old appliances, electronics, or even hazardous waste? Dispose of these items at the 24-hour drop-off site located at the entrance of the Georgetown landfill. This site is open to the public daily for your convenience. Do your part. Keep Cayman clean. For more tips on proper waste handling, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks so much for joining us. 949-8037 is the number you can use to share your thoughts with us. And good company of Dr. Curtis Barnett. Now,
we'll mention at this point that there are many names that come to us in the Caymanian, into the Cayman Islands, into our culture from Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole catalog. I mean, you could talk about Adriana, Aida, Alba, Alberto, and there are many other A's, Antonio, Arnulfo, Asdrubal, and then you go to the B's, Benito, Brigida, right? Carla, Carlos, Carmen. Let's go on to the D's. Delmira, Diaz, Diego, Digna, Dolores, and so on. There's you go on to the E's. Emilio, Enrique, Fernando, Francisco, and then the G's, Gil, Gonzalez. All of these you can find right in the in the white pages in Cayman, for example, and then we're dealing with people every day with these four names.
Significant influence.
Oh yeah, and I'll go on to say that many of the surnames as well.
Right. Now, before you start there, let's take the final call for this segment, and then hopefully have you consider another invitation for a future installation. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi, this is Nick from the Botanic Park.
Ah.
I'm the horticultural manager here, and I just wanted to make a comment about the miracle nut Jatropha curcas.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the lady speaking. I was doing some potting in the nursery here, and I heard the lady speaking about this Jatropha curcas. I just wanted to add a little warning about that particular plant. It's in a family called Euphorbiaceae, the spurge family, and many of the species in that family are highly poisonous. And it's been known that Jatropha can cause allergic reactions and poisoning in some people. That's not to say it doesn't have a lot of medicinal uses, and it's also an amazing plant in terms of it being able to withstand droughts. It's being used in a project in Africa called the Green Belt of the Sahara at the moment because of these properties.
Is it mostly a decorative plant?
It's not. No, it's grown for many reasons. The nut in itself produces a lot of oil, and that oil is very nutritious.
Mm-hmm.
But the sap itself is used medicinally,
mm-hmm.
but if it's used in the wrong way, could cause stomach issues. And it's not another name for it apart from the bleeding tree and the miracle nut is also the purging nut.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. We have a number of those plants. Yeah.
You can guess why. It purges you.
Right.
When you take too much.
Now, Nick, from the perspective, the query initially originated from what people allege they see on Good Friday when the tree is cut, the sap is red. What do you know of that?
Nothing really. I mean, I can just tell you what my observations with the plant is. And my observations is that usually the sap is a kind of a creamy latex, white to yellow. I don't know why it would turn red. Perhaps further study needs to be done on that. But yeah, I couldn't really tell you much about why it would turn red on that particular day.
But it seems to have been a practice that people have seen.
Yeah. But again, I would.
The caution is there.
Countenance people not to just go around cutting massive wounds in trees. I'm, as you probably would have guessed, I'm a tree lover, and I hate to see trees damaged for no really good reason.
Yeah. Do you have some samples at the Botanic Park of Jatropha curcas? Yeah.
No, we don't at the moment, but that can change.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are some of the other trees? I mean, we have the Garden Club's exhibition coming up on Saturday, but what are some of the other trees in that genus? You reference it being one that...
yes.
What are some of the ones there?
So this family, Euphorbia, is most commonly known for things like poinsettia, is the one that has red bracts in Christmas
time.
That's in this family, Euphorbiaceae. Mm-hmm. There's also a whole group of cactus-looking plants that are called Euphorbia, and they can be highly toxic. I used to work at the Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew in the glass houses there, and we worked with one plant called Euphorbia tirucali, and that's when two gardeners were cutting it during a summer's day. One of them went blind, and the other one came up with boils all over his face and hands, just from the sap evaporating near them, and because it has a volatile nature.
Right. Are you familiar with the plant we call locally manchineel?
Yes.
Is it similar to that?
Yes.
Would that be in the same family?
I have a feeling Manchineel is in Anacardiaceae. It may be in Euphorbiaceae. I'd have to do some double checking on that.
And then maiden plum, potentially in the same.
Potentially, but there are so many families that we don't know fully about. But I'll do some checking if you'd like. I can call back.
Would you please?
Another day.
Yes.
And to give you some information about it.
Yeah, thanks. Because I think, sadly, many plants not only are being lost as we continue our development, but as you shared, some of us unknowingly, and perhaps just out of curiosity, rather errantly, may, approach a plant. Oh, it's so beautiful, and next thing you know, the sap is on us, and we're not sure what happened, right?
Yeah.
So
and here at the Botanic Park, if you come out to our woodland trail, we've rather than removing all of the manchineel and the poisonous trees, we're identifying them and marking them out so that people can learn what they look like and to stay away from them rather than just cut them down.
Well, it's a great job that's been had out there. I think it's a commendable, hopeful as a people we become with our plants, as with our fauna, as with our people, as with our foods, a little bit more cognizant, a little bit more respectful, and a little bit more effort in preservation and presentation.
Manchineel. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you so much.
I mentioned that in my essay, and
have a good afternoon, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right. I mentioned that in my essay. It comes from the Spanish word manzanilla, which means a little apple, right? Manzana is an apple. Manzanilla.
But don't eat this one.
No, don't eat that one. In fact, they say don't even go close. Don't go underneath, especially if it's raining. And it may drop a few harmful commodities on you.
Yeah.
And but English, we translate the word chamomile.
But is it this
from the same word?
Yeah.
And the word manzanilla means the deadly little apple of the manchineel tree, but its homonym, chamomile, invites to the aromatic blossoms of chamomile tea.
Is the same, comes from the same?
From the same Spanish root.
Now,
but in Spain itself, they have an olive called Oliva manzanilla. You can get it right across there.
Yeah. Now, before we close it out, I just want to share from a listener who called in and was referencing the gentleman, the young man, who was sharing about his grandparents who lived in Cuba. And wanted to express, on the caller's behalf that, how his mannerisms, his vocal intonation, the respect that he, speaking with you, acknowledging not only your intellect, but as she says, his humble words chosen as he uses, as well as his intonation. So what a delight to hear him today. There's so much loss of our Caymanian heritage and culture. And I thought, for people not listening, even though he's referring to that other guy, we knew that there was a respectful way in which he was saying that, acknowledging that, okay, it's a French name, I don't know how to say that.
Right.
And then his deference to you. And I'm glad that the caller acknowledges that and reminds us to share it, because I think that the caller really, really showed what is peculiar, perhaps, about the humility, the hospitality, the almost deference that we have, to the extent that may have contributed, some would say, to our people being overlooked, to our practices being ignored, to some would even being consumed. Dr. Barnett, with that, would you accept, as your schedule allows, an invitation to join us again? We can continue going through the essay. We were talking about
I'll accept
last
the
name.
invitation, and you set the date.
Okay, we shall do that. And it just shows how fascinating. I mean, many of us, perhaps at times, we heard earlier Miss Berner saying that she gave a presentation to her garden club about some of the medicinal benefits of the plants, and she recalls it, in her own yard, the interest expressed by her parents. Many of us have that. How many of us has done what she is undertaking at some point in time, permitting, to record it? You have, in some respects. Hopefully it helped to inform. We talk about celebrating 500 years. Really and truly, are we? Have we? But anyway, maybe some closing thoughts from you, Dr. Martin.
There's a lot more to celebrate.
Yes.
And of course, not everything that's said is being celebrated. Like, we go back to the very beginnings of our programs.
So,
as you were saying earlier, being corrected, and
yes.
Yeah.
Well, we want to come on.
I'm glad for the opportunity to help you out there.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Help us all understand better who we are, right?
Well, they say a little learning is a dangerous thing, huh?
So let's go on and get some more.
Yep.
So it's not so dangerous.
Thank you very much, sir, for spending the afternoon with us.
You're welcome.
And we're going to have you on very shortly again to continue.
All right.
I won't try to say it in Spanish, nor French, nor anything.
Hasta la próxima vez. Or in Spain, hasta la próxima vez.
Yeah. Well, in West we see you later.
Right.
Dear listener, thank you very much. All of us who live and work here and want this to be our home, from the proper way to dispose of our refuse, to the politeness and courtesy we show on our roads, to the deference we exhibit to our teachers and our parents, to the diligence we exhibit in our working environments, to the excellence that we call customer service. Little things that are significant. When done together collectively, we have not only a safer, but a much more stable and a much better, stronger society. Dr. Barnett, I think we are living what I believe is a great place, even better when we all work together. So with that in mind, why don't we take this week, from this point forward, do what we can individually to make it better. What a collective impact that will be. Now, those of you who sport my hairstyle, good for you. I see Dean and Silver Fox doing the same. Mine, it's not so much by choice, but hey, when we give in lemons, what do we do? Make a lemon meringue. Put a lot of sugar in it. Make it sweet. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.